We're going to start in 2017 looking at optimal lineups. I do not have a GPP winning lineup here, but here we use all 50,000 of the salary because we have to use $11,500 Henrik Stenson and a $10,000 Webb Simpson. So two 10K and above golfers, pretty crazy. And we have a 7, 7, 7, 6. If you're wondering why I'm saying it that way, it's just kind of my MO. I usually like to let you know, or I usually advocate, start your lineups with a 10K golfer, then a 9K, then an 8K, two 7Ks, and a 6K. Or a faster way to say that is start with a 10-9-8, 7-7-6 approach. That's the best way to start 20% of your GPP winning lineups. Have that start to it. 11% of your optimal lineups also have that start to it. And that's the highest in both of those categories. So optimal as well as GPP. So you start there. The next more common one is a 10-9-8, 7-7-7. That's both GPP winning lineups as well as optimal lineups. And that is going into the territory, like when it comes to optimals, if you go that 10-9-8, 7-7-6, and then you add the 10-9-8, 7-7-7, now you have 20% of your optimal lineups built that way. And there's no other combination higher than that. And when it comes to GPPs, it's like 30% when you combine those two. And then the third most common one is a 10-9-8, 7-6-6. So you can tell you start 10-9-8, 7, and then you've got basically, you know, you do whatever you think you need to. You add one more 7 and a 6, add two more 7s, or add two 6s. And you have nearly 30% of your optimal lineups. You have 30% or 40% of your GPP winning lineups. It's a good way to start. It gives you the best step forward. So that's why I talk about the 10-9-8, 7-7-6 method. And here you have 10-10, 3 7s and a 6, which makes me or reminds me to tell you, you make two substitutions, two. So I say 10-9-8, 7-7-6. Well, in this scenario, we sub one of our 9s up to a 10. So now we have two 10s. And we sub one of our 8s, or the 8 we're supposed to have, down to a 7. Now we have 3 7s. So we have our 10, 3 7s and a 6. So there's our two substitutions. And that was 2017. So we moved to 2018. Our optimal also only left, it left minimum money, $100. So we're using up $49,900 of the salary. That starts 10K, 10K. Interesting. 7, 7, 6, 6. So this kind of breaks that two substitution. It doesn't really work as well as, it doesn't work the way I say it should. Because you only, one tier down for salaries is one substitution. We would have to make 3 total. We have a 9 go up to a 10, and then our 8 has to drop down 2 spots to a 6. So I count that as 3 substitutions. But there you go, 2 7s and 2 6s. Whereas the last one we had 3 7s and a 6. But 2 10Ks, which is crazy. Just, it's crazy. One, I don't have the DK points here, but I could say we could make a substitution and say we move one of these 6Ks and the 11K. We add a 9. No, that wouldn't work. That's leaving too much money on the table. If you remove the Brant Snedeker, you could do something like this, but then I'm sure you won't win a GPP that way. This would use up 49,500. So it would be really close, and you'd have a 10K, a 9K, 3 7s, and a 6. But just showing you inside the top 10, there are different ways to build lineups. 2019, your optimal lineup left $200 on the table. So now we've done 3 years of looking at optimal lineups, and neither one of them has left more than $200 on the table. This one starts with an $11,000 golfer in Webb Simpson. Then we have an 8K, 7, 9. Let me just highlight them first and then talk about them. So we have a 10K, 9K, 8K, 7, 7, 6. So there you go, 10, 9, 8, 7, 7, 6. That was your optimal lineup. Like I said, that's usually, it's 11% of optimal lineups start 10, 9, 8, 7, 7, 6. Your optimal lineup left, or not optimal, your GPP winning lineup left $200 on the table. And that one looks like it's a bit more balanced. 9,000, 9,000, 8,000, 7, 7, 7. So you could go balanced and win a GPP, but obviously you can see more of our golfers in the optimal were inside the top 10 than in the GPP winning lineup. I guess when it comes to points, Optimal scored 731, and the $1 scored 692. So 40 points was the difference between those, meaning, I mean, you could have beat the GPP pretty close or pretty easily and not have the optimal lineup. In 2020, there we go. We're finally, now we leave a bunch of money on the table for optimal. This happens, you know, here and there. So $3,200 were left on the table. And it does not include the $11,000 Webb Simpson that was in third place. But I bet you we could build a lineup with him. It starts with $6,100 Jim Herman, $9,100 Billy Horschel, 8876. So just to repeat that a different way, that's a 9, 2 8s, 1 7, and 2 6s. Pretty difficult. That scored 759 points. And then our $5 drive, the green lineup only left $100 on the table. And it also was a bit more balanced. 9K, 9K, 2 8s, a 7, and a 7. 49,900. I bet you we can make a lineup with Webb Simpson. Let's see. By the way, that scored 685.5 points. That's a 70-point total between the two. So let's see. If I go Webb, Billy, Jim Herman, probably include Doc Redman and Harold Varner. How much money do I have left? Oh, I have enough. Okay. If I went here. Nope. Oh, yeah. I could do $7,000 Zach Johnson. There we go. We're going to call this a sweet spot optimal because we're using $49,800 for our salary. And that way you can go 10,98776. That there. Go over and we'll color this green and call it or just how about the sweet spot optimal? I think that's what I usually call it. There we go. Let's see how much money or how many points this one scored. 749.5. That's 10 points behind the optimal lineup. And it clears the drive the green by still 60 points. So leaving $200 on the table, starting 10,98776, $6,100 Jim Herman, by the way. So you really couldn't, you know, you would have to use someone low 6K if you went this route, but showing you how else you can build lineups. In 2021, we have an optimal that left $3,000 on the table. And that were basically your 5 golfers here up at the top with Chesson Hadley down here. So 9K, 8K, 8K, 7, 6, 6. That is what made your optimal lineup. It scored 706.5 points. Your $5 GPP, I was going to say, is another balanced lineup, but it starts with Webb Simpson at 10K. 9K Siwoo, 8K Kevin Kisner, 8K Kevin Na, and then 2 6K golfers that use up $50,000 of the salary completely. Scored 675 on the button. So a 30-point difference between that. The realistic optimal, I have using 2 9Ks, 2 8Ks, a 7, and a 6. That's pretty darn close to starting that 10,98776. We're just moving 110 down to a 9. And then 1 7 up to an 8. So there's your 2 substitutions. That scored 703.5 points. That's only 3 points behind the optimal lineup. So different ways to get there. In 2022, our optimal left $500 on the table, and it scored 719. Looks like we could swap Russell Henley for Max McGreevy. Just keep that in mind because that would change the price tag or the pricing for the optimal. This one used $10,500 Sung J M, $9,800 Russell Henley, $8,600 Tom Kim, and then we have a 7K and 2 6s. Yep, that's what we can do. It said we can replace Russell Henley for Max McGreevy. So if we were to do that, it'd be $45,700. We don't want to leave a lot of money on the table, so I think that's why we include Russell Henley here. But this one is a 10,98766. Remember, that's the 3rd most common optimal lineup build. And we have it here at the Wyndham Championship in 2022. Now, because that was 49,500, I don't have a realistic optimal or a sweet spot optimal over here. Your $5 GPP winning lineup scored 663.5 points. So that was 50 points behind the optimal lineup. It left $400 on the table, and it started with Sung Jae, Tom Kim, Taylor Moore, John Huh, Taylor Pendrith, and then I think I need to scroll down a little bit more to find the last guy, Keith Mitchell. Wow. Way down here. 54th place, Keith Mitchell. So last week, you really could have, or not last week, last year, you really could have, I guess, easily taken down the GPP winning lineup as long as you had those top guys. Because Keith Mitchell down there, that's very uncommon to see in a GPP winning lineup. So that covers your pass optimal and GPP winning lineups for the Wyndham Championship. I think you do that. I mean, however you want to start your builds, it looks like 10Ks. You can start with a 10K every single year and do just fine. I don't really think the 10Ks this year are all that bad. Sung Jae, Hideki, Russell Henley, Sam Burns. I don't think those are bad to start with. Course history would probably be the way to go because you can see Webb Simpson was in a lot of those top lineups. Sung Jae, good course history last year. 2021. Who do we have? Webb Simpson, really good course history, obviously. 2020, we had Webb up there again, but with good 10K golfers with good course histories, and it's Webb Simpson most of the time. That just kind of screams Hideki Matsuyama this week, or not Hideki. Jesus, Sung Jae. That kind of screams Sung Jae. I don't know why I don't even know why Hideki was in my mind there, but anyways, Sung Jae kind of screams Sung Jae. Sam Burns might be a close second for possibilities with 10K golfers with good course history. So also you can find all that information on the cheat sheet in a different way. You just go to this course fit page here, or the course fit section, and just look at course history. You can find that same stuff that I was just looking at. Obviously mine's just a little bit different, but you can see Sam with 13 is 13th is his average finishing position, and then you have Sung Jae there with 10.25. I imagine Sam Burns probably has only played one event at the Wyndham. Let's double check. Sam Burns, yeah, one time he's played here, and that was in 2020, and that's where he got his 13th. Whereas Sung Jae has several finishes: a 6th, a 9th, a 24th, and a 2nd. Wow. Let's just look really quickly. For those wondering, Sung Jae's recent form heading into this tournament is not so good. Like, he's got some pretty poor finishes. That average finishing position is 54.67. Guess what he was in 2022? 63.25. Now, he did have a second place finish before heading into this tournament, but it was a miscut, or not a miscut. It was an 81st finish at the Open. Just as Scottish Open was a miscut. The US Open was a miscut. 2023, what do we have? We had a top 20 at the Open, but a miscut at the 3M, a miscut at the Genesis. So that's, pretty good for par, or whatever the saying is. And then he also had a miscut at the US Open with some middling finishes at the Rocket Mortgage and the Travelers. So I think we can go back to Sung Jae. 50% cut made percentage in 2023. In 2022, it was 6.67. Why was that? That must be a miscalculation because these were made cuts and this was a miscut. So that's 50% also. Good thing I don't track this. Not so much track it, but like I don't record it for future. What am I trying to think of? There's a different word than what I was just using. Shoot, I can't think of it. But anyways, this is just for you to look at now. It's not something that I analyze in future years. Obviously, I'm not using it now. You haven't heard me talk about cut made percentage. So anyways, does not matter. But it's pretty much the same thing. So course history, does that reign supreme when it comes to this tournament? I know I heard my friend Chad Eckert say it was recent form, but I think it is course history, especially when it comes to these 10K golfers. We don't see Webb up there, but you know, if Webb was playing better golf, he'd be a 10K golfer, and you'd probably want to play him at this event. So there we go. That will be the end of the pass optimal and GPP winning lineups.